Now, as I was saying, let's talk about Windows logs. In Windows, logs will be stored in something called Event Viewer, right? So if I get into Start, why do we have this one here? Okay, if I click on Start, okay. And if I just search Event Viewer, we'll be able to see Event Viewer dashboard. You can see we have different options like custom views, Windows logs, applications and service logs, and so on. So let me just click on Windows logs. Yeah. As expected, this Windows machine is giving us some kind of gaps. So we'll do one thing. Yeah. As we have this host machine as Windows, in my case, I'll use host machine. So let me just get into event viewer. Anything is fine. Now let me get into Windows logs. You can see we have different sections or different options under Windows logs, like application logs, security logs, setup log, right? System logs and forwarded events. Let's try to understand these things one by one. First, what we have is application logs. Application logs is where we'll be able to see different events that belongs to different apps or different programs, right? For example, let's say there is an application like Chrome, right? So there is some kind of log related to that Chrome that we can find under application. So application specific logs can be found under application logs. Next thing is security logs. This is where we can find some kind of security logs like authentication logs, login, logout, authentication failures, right? Authentication success, right? And so on. Next thing is setup, some kind of setup logs, some kind of system setup or some kind of, utility setup related logs can be found under setup logs. Next thing is system logs, right? So if some kind of system issue is there, some kind of drivers issue, some kind of hardware issue, right? Some kind of, updates issue, those things can be found under system logs, right? Next, what we have is forwarded events. You remember this Wazoo that we discussed in the last session? So what happens in Wazoo? We join different machines to Wazoo as agents, and we use this Wazoo server as some kind of control center. Just like that, can use this Windows machine as some kind of control server by joining other machines. So if something is happening on any of the machines, right, those logs will be seen under forwarded events. Some kind of forwarded logs from other machines can be seen under forwarded events. Okay. So these are 5 different sections that we have under uh, Windows logs. Just like how you get into var log location and how we find different logs under Linux var log location. Here, if you get into event viewer and if you get into Windows logs, you'll be able to find different logs, right? One second. Yeah. We have a question in the chat. Can you brief about the logs one more time? I missed. Uh, sure, right? We haven't talked much about the logs yet. We have talked about the types of logs that we have. We started with application logs where we'll be able to see installed application logs or installed program logs. Then we moved on to security logs, where we'll be able to find some kind of security events like logins, logouts, authentication failures, authentication success, and so on. After that, we moved on to setup, where we'll be able to see some kind of setup logs. Let's say you have done some kind of setup, let's say some kind of application setup or some kind of default utility setup. That setup related logs can be found under setup logs. Okay. And we use this setup logs mainly during system setup process. I mean, most of the logs will be generated during system setup process. Next thing is system logs. This is where we'll be able to find system level events like some kind of driver issues, some kind of hardware failure issues, right? Some kind of service start, service start, sorry, service stop related logs will be there under system logs. Next thing is forwarded events. This is where we'll be able to find the events or logs that were forwarded from other missions, right? Just like that Wazoo. So if I click on application logs, you can see number of application logs. There are just 24,596 logs, and you can see some keywords like keywords, date and time. Source means from which application this log was generated, right? We have event ID, right? And task category also we have. In Windows, each and every log will have unique event ID. Think of it like this. In India, each and every contact number starts with +91. US +1, right? Just like that, each and every Windows event will have a ID, right? For example, if I just get into my browser and search Windows event IDs, there are a bunch of websites. For example, there is this Microsoft resource, and also there is an interesting resource, and that is Ultimate Windows Security. Trust me, when it comes to event IDs, this is very good one. If I open this, let me go through this Microsoft one first. So under Microsoft one, you can see we have different IDs. If the event ID is 4618, that is some kind of security event pattern, right? And if the event ID is 1102, that means it is a log that belongs to log cleared thing. Let's say someone cleared logs, then there'll be a log created, and that log's ID will be 1102. Who clears the logs? Attackers. When they gain access to a system, when they do something on the system, like uploading files, downloading files, they create the logs. Sorry, they clear the logs. When they clear the logs, an event will be created with this ID. Just like that, there are a bunch of other event IDs. If I get into this, the same thing will be there here also. So 1102, audit log was cleared, right? 1104, event log automatic backup, right? 4608, Windows is starting up. 4609, Windows is shutting down, right? If any new process is created, a log will be created with the ID 4688, right? The same way, if any new user is created, what is the event ID? 4720. If any new user account is enabled, event ID 4722, right? And just like that, we have other things. We'll take a look into all those things in a short while. If I click on any log, the information about that log will be displayed in the bottom here. Just like this Wireshark. You remember, if you select any packet in Wireshark packet listing pane, the information of the packet will be displayed in packet details pane. Just like that, if you click on any log here, the information about that log will be displayed here. Under general, the information is being displayed. You can see what kind of log is this or what kind of event is this. Offline down level migration was succeeded, some kind of migration thing. And again, you can see more information here. So log on name, application. This log is under application logs. Source. This log was created by this utility. Event ID is 16394. Level information. There are different levels actually. For example, information, error, critical, and so on. Information means it is giving us some kind of information about the activity, right? It is not that dangerous, right? If it is some kind of warning, right? So that means that requires some kind of attention, right? If it is critical, that means we have to look into that. Something went wrong. Okay. I'll show you. User information not available, right? OP code info. And this log was created on this particular date, 10 to 2025 and 215, I think very recently, today, right? Today at 2:15. Task category, none, keywords classic, and the system on which this log was created is desktop 68RE7NU. This is my mission. Okay. And on the right hand side, we have different actions. For example, we can clear the logs, we can filter the logs, right? Based on event IDs, right? Based on event level, like information, error, critical, warning, okay? And also we have some properties. Find using process ID or some kind of event ID, we can find information about any specific event or log using this find option, okay? Next, if I want to save all these events for further investigation, that can be done with the help of this save events option, very similar to that Wireshark. Okay. And just like that, we have other things. Out of all these things, one more option that is important is this refresh option. At times, the logs may not get refreshed automatically. In that case, you have to go with this refresh option, which will refresh. Okay. Let's take a look into security logs. We have keywords, date and time, source, event ID, right? Task category. Let's do one thing. Again, if I select any log, you can see information about that log here. And in this case, it is much more interesting because here the information is being displayed in a detailed way. And if I click on details, right, we'll be able to find the log information in a friendly view manner, you can see, and XML view. This friendly view is for us human beings so that we can easily understand. And this XML view is for tools. You remember that day we discussed structured, semi-structured, unstructured, right? So what is this? What kind of type is this? Yeah, it is there in XML format, but what is it? Can you please look into running notes and tell me? Who said semi-structured? Okay. You keep on doing research. Meanwhile, we'll talk about something. You let me know once you find the answer. At least that will help you to stay active. Okay. Right. There is an event ID, and that event ID is 4624. Can you please tell me what it does? 4624. Here, find 4624. What it does? 4624, 4624. An account was successfully logged on. Okay. Let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. You can see 4624. What happened? Security ID is system. Okay. This log is under uh, system logs, but it is there under security logs. So this is something else. Account name, account domain, logon ID, logon information, logon type is 5, and some other information. Impersonation level we have. So logged in user is so and so, and we have process ID about that user, and we have some kind of information. What kind of information? It says this event is generated when a logon session is created. Okay. It is generated on the computer that was accessed. Okay. Some kind of login happened. Because of that reason, this was created. Let's do one thing. Let me see all logon events. For example, I'll get into this filter current log under all event IDs. I'm going to specify 4624. You can see all logon events. There are 3,349. Very good. These are all logon logs or events. Can you find out what 4634 does? What is the event ID 4634 does? What kind of logs creates? 4624 is to find out user logon logs. What is 4634? Of course, if you click on this 4624, first it shows you what exactly it does, right? So you can see this is a highly valuable event since it documents each and every successful attempt to log on to the local computer, regardless of logon type, location of the user, or type of account. You can tie this event to log off events like 4634 and 4647. What exactly this 4634 does? Let's see. What it does. An account was logged off. If any user is logged out, it is going to log that information, right? For example, let's see 4634. So if I click on the first log, you can see an account was logged off when 10/02/2025 at 1:33, right? And who logged out? Joker. On which machine? On this machine. Desktop 68RE7NU, right? You can see this event is generated when a logon session is destroyed. Oh, very good word actually. I don't know why they used this one. Instead, they could use when a logon session is closed. Okay. It may be positively correlated with a logon event using the logon ID value. Logon IDs are only unique between reports on the same computer. Okay. Apart from this user, any user logged out. Of course, I don't have any other user on this machine, but still, right? You can do one thing. You all have this Windows machine that we have shared. So there, if you take a look into 4634, you may find log out logs for bunch of other users, because on that machine, bunch of other users are there. Like I'm sure about admin user. Who else is there? User is there, I think, right? Who else is there? Stark, I think, on Windows 7. Here on Windows 10, it is admin and user, and a few more users are there, but I'm not sure. Anyways, you can take a look into that. Next, can you find out what exactly 4720 does? What is the use of event ID 4720? 4720. Okay. 4720, where is it? Let me just search for it. 4720. What it does, when any user account is created, it is going to create a log with this event ID 4720. Let's see. You can see user account was created, right? So user identified by subject, created the user identified by new account. Let me see whether we have any events 4720. No, let's do one thing. Let me create a new account, then we'll see whether it creates the user, whether it creates the log or not, right? I'm going to launch my CMD as administrator, and I'm going to drag my CMD onto this screen, right? So what is the command to create a user from CMD? Hmm? Net user, username is, let me go with, um, I'm out of names. This is what happens every time. Okay, let's say, for example, Patrick. I want to add, right? It says the command completed successfully. Now we have created a user named as Patrick. A log should be there under event viewer. Let's see. If I just refresh, when I clicked on refresh, you see a log is created. The event ID 4720, and you can see information about the log. What kind of log is this? A user account was created. You can see security ID, right? Account name, as which user this account was created, right? And the account that we have created is Patrick, and more information about that user, right? User control, you can see account disabled, it says password not required, normal account enabled, other information, right? And more information is being displayed here. Okay. Can you find out what exactly 4722 does? 4722 does. 4722. Okay. We see this 4722 when any account is enabled, right? Before we talk about this 4722, let's go back to the previous one, which is 4720. Like I said, 4720 will be created when a new user is added to the mission, right? How can this helps us? When a hacker gains access to our machine, to make this, access persistent, right? What he's going to do, he's going to create an account, right? So to find such created accounts, we can use event ID 4720. Now, let me see any logs are there or not with this event ID 4722. That means if I have enabled any user, we'll be able to see that logs here. Did I enable any user? Yes, I think, right? Which user? Just now we enabled a user, right? Patrick, we created, right? So that is also considered as enabling, right? Not only that, on our Windows machines, by default, administrator is disabled. We have to enable it if I want to use, right? I never recommend you to enable administrator's account on the host machine because that is not good. You can try this on your Windows 10 that we have shared. I think we have enabled it. While discussing AD concepts, we have enabled, right? That means if you search this 4722, you should be able to see the log on your side. Anyways, I'll give you time. For now, let me enable administrator's account on my side. How to enable? Local users and groups. Okay. If this method is not working, there is one more method actually. And that method is we can get into administrative tools. Oh, we don't have that option here. Hmm. If I just search users, no, Windows. Let's take a look into Windows tools. And here, let's see whether we have that option. Can you find an option that helps us in enabling administrator's account? We should be able to see this option. There's local group and users. Okay, that is not there. That means, okay, let's try this on Windows 10 machine. I'm sure about that option, but unfortunately this Windows takes more time. See here, when I search on Windows 10, it shows administrative tools. I was looking for this on that machine, but unfortunately there I'm not able to find it. And after getting into this, I can look into computer management. And then I can look into local users and groups. And then I can look into users. You can see different users, right? Administrator, admin, default account, and so on. If I enable any user like administrator, we should be able to see that log, right? So how about we searching computer management on my Windows 11? Yeah, it is there. Let me just close this machine and go on to that machine. Computer management. Next what? No, we should be able to see that option. Which option? Local groups options. No, no. Okay, seems like on this Windows 11 options are different. System tools, no. Service and applications, no. Storage, obviously, no. Do we have any option to search actually? No. Let's do one thing. Let's see how to enable administrator's account on Windows 11. 11. I never tried on Windows 11. I tried on Windows 10. Enabling admin account on Windows 11 home. Settings. account, family, other users. Okay. Settings, accounts, then family, then other users. I don't have any option like other users, right? Attendees offline. Can I get anyone's Windows 10 machine, please? So that we can discuss is there. Windows 10. Anyone has Windows 10 option? Okay, can I get the RDB connection to that? I have this Windows 10, but as you all know, it takes more time to respond. So we may not be able to discuss on this. Ten dot, 0 dot, 31. One second, I'm trying to connect to our friend's machine. Meanwhile, you can find a way to enable admin account on Windows 11 Home. You can do it in Windows 10, but my Windows 10 is bit slow. It is going to waste our time a bit. We'll connect to our friend's machine using Kali. We'll see. Done. Can I connect now? What is the IP? 231. Mm, yeah, there is one more utility also. X free RDP, but what is the exact syntax? Anyone has the syntax? It is /u mention username, /p to mention password, right? And /v to mention the IP address. Username, please. Hmm. Yeah, username. Sai V I. Okay. AMMA. That's it. Oh, something is wrong with that RDP session. Did you just click on that option like allow connection from insecure machines or enable all? It's still not working. Did you try from your side? Others can enable actually. You have this machine, right? You can just enable this so that I can connect. Or let's try to start my machine only one more time because at times it takes more time. Because of that reason, I avoided my machine. Very good. Seriously now? Okay, fine. Give me a second. So here, if I just go with this is what administrative tools and computer management and local users and groups, users, administrator, right? See, account is disabled. Let's try to enable it. How to enable it? Just check this box, right? I mean, uncheck the box. So if you click on OK, that's it. Account is enabled. Of course, you can set a password by right clicking. Right click, set a password, proceed. And let me set a super secret password for this user admin. And let me go with OK. It says password has been set. Now, if I take a look into event viewer, we should be able to see a log about this account enabling, right? What is the event ID? What is the event ID? Enable 4722, right? So you can see a log. So as admin user, someone enabled administrator's account on which machine? On client, right? It says a user account was enabled. So what is the log, or sorry, what is the event ID if I disable a user account? It is 4725 if I'm not wrong. So 4725 is an event ID which logs details about the user account disable. So for example, let me disable this administrator's account, event viewer, Windows logs, security. And before we filter based on that event ID, let me get into administrative tools, computer management, local users and groups, users, administrator, account is disabled. Now tell me what is the ID? 4725, right? You can see a user account was disabled. Which user? Administrator. Who did this? Admin did, right? In the same way, if we delete any user account, right, it creates a log with the event ID, and that event ID is 4726. Earlier, we have seen 4720, which logs information about user creation. In the same way, if we delete any user, it creates a log with this event ID. Earlier, I created a user on my machine, right? On this Windows 11 machine. What was the username? Patrick, right? For example, if I use net user, yeah, Patrick. So let's try to launch CMD as admin. Now let me delete user Patrick. How to delete? Net user. All of your right. Delete which user? Patrick slash delete. Says command completed successfully. Now if I take a look into event viewer, Windows logs and security. What is the event ID that we have talked about? 4726, right? You can see a log with this event ID 4726 where the user account is deleted, right? So the reason behind me explaining all these things is you all know CSA, Certified SOC Analyst. It is a certification from EC Council, right? Anytime soon or in future, if you're trying to take this CSA certification, you can expect some kind of questions about event IDs, right? So he may give you an event ID and he may ask you what exactly this event ID does, right? For example, if he gives you 4726, what it does, it logs information about user deletion, right? Next, let's do one thing. Let's go back to Windows 10. Just like how we have event IDs for user creation and user deletion, when we add a specific user to a specific group, right? In that case also with the event ID, it is going to create some logs. Can you guess the event ID? When we add a user to a specific group, right? It creates logs. So what is the event ID? 47 4720. 4732, you're right. If I take a look into event viewer, Windows logs, security, find current log, ID is 4732, right? Uh-oh, nothing is there. Let's do one thing. We created users on that machine, but fine. Net user. So we have bunch of users like Ninja, admin, guest, JK, Loki. Let's concentrate on JK. Let me see whether he's part of any groups or not. Net user, JK. He's part of only users group, it seems. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let me see how many groups are there on this machine. To see how many groups are there, command is, okay, why am I not able to increase the size? Anyways, it is net local group, right? You can see bunch of groups are there like users, guests, administrators, device owners, and so on. And let me see whether I can show you those things or not. Mm, Net, okay, wait a second. Edit, properties, I think. Uh, Font size 36. Now can you see? Net local group. Now you see bunch of groups are there. Administrators, backup operators, device owners, guests, users. This particular user, JK, is not part of administrators group, right? Let me add this user to administrators group. To add this user to administrators group, we can use net local group, uh, local group, and then group name. Group name is administrators. I want to add which user? JK user. I want to add, so slash add, right? You can see it says the command completed successfully. If I go back and if I refresh, you can see a log with the event ID 4732, right? What it does, a member was added to a security enabled group, right? Who did this activity? As which user we did this activity? As admin, right? And who is the user here? JK. We added this JK to which group? Administrators group, right? And you can see some kind of information about that activity. So client is computer, keywords, audit successful, something happened, logged information, and source. Source is from Microsoft Windows Security. Event ID is 4732. Level is information, not warning or error or critical. Okay. Just like that, just like this, there are bunch of other event IDs that we can go through. You can see, right? For example, earlier we talked about this 1102. You remember what is the use of 1102? It is going to create a log about log clearance, right? I'm gonna remove the filter. If I click on clear filter, back to normal, right? There are 975 logs. I want to clear logs. What to do? On the right hand side, you have an option, clear log. Clear, please. When I clear the log, one more log is created. The event ID 1102. About what? The audit log was cleared. By whom? Admin, right? So this will help us when some hacker clears the logs, right? Obviously, when he's done with performing few activities on our machine, what he does, he is going to clear the logs, right? In that case, we may see this kind of logs with this kind of event IDs. Okay. Right. Can you find out what 7045 does? 7045. Event ID 7045. Okay, let's see what exactly this Windows event ID 7045. Windows event ID 7045. What it does, when a new service is installed, it is going to create a log with the event ID 7045, right? For example, how can we create a new service? For example, if I install some kind of malware, is it going to create the uh, log with this ID? Because when we install a malware, it may create some kind of service. First, let me see whether I have any events with that ID. What is the ID? 7045, right? Nothing is there, right? Remember, when you want to clear the filter that you applied, you have to click on clear filter. You, knowingly or unknowingly, if you click on clear log, logs will get cleared, right? Again, it is not going to affect our system, but this should not be performed in organizations, right?